pain. I see in your eyes anguish. I can read plastered on your faces uncertainty. But that uncertainty, anguish, and pain coexist with hope. Hope that one day we will be able to walk into a free homeland. We will be able to remember all those who've died in our name. We will be able to remember all those who have been raped because they fight for a free Ambazonia. You have come from all places. You've taken time from all your chores. You are here today because you are the true inhabitants of that place that was taken away from us. You have come here as soldiers of the revolution, the last people standing to defend our values, our customs, and our tradition. You've come here to send a message to those who have occupied our homeland, have raped our girls and turned our fathers into boys. That before they will occupy our land in the next 2 years, they will have to eliminate every Ambazonian from the planet Earth. 45 years ago, they instituted a concept of national unity. That concept coexisted with the destruction of our economic potentials. When we protested, they called us terrorists. They said they were standing for national unity. That national unity meant the destruction of our own potentials. It meant the elimination of our own leaders, our own patriot volunteers. The concept of nationality, of national unity meant we did not have a university, that we should go to Yaoundé and study in French in the name of national unity. It meant we could not have our own parliament because they thought asking us to sit in Yaoundé was the concept of national unity. They thought we didn't have a right to marketing board because we should depend on them because of the concept of national unity. They thought they would destroy our police forces and we should depend on their own protection on the concept of national unity. 45 years ago, they lied us. 45 years after, we have vowed as a people who suffered tribulation, economic deprivation, political exclusion, pain, anguish, hopelessness, scattered and dotted in the capitals of Western places, being unsure what tomorrow holds for us, being unsure what our children will become, because we went to schools that was dedicated to the production of people who had no value. The bad schools which were just 4 walls to turn us into dependent, to turn us into hopeless people. The best schools that were prison walls where they could revise our history, educate us in their own history to make us slaves. They turn us slaves in the land of our birth. Until a young man called BBC Mancho took his coffin on the street and told Cameroon, give us freedom or give us death. We are here today with our own coffin to bury the concept of national unity, as our brother has said, 1,000 feet down the earth.
Yes!
Never again, Ambazonians. Never again, Ambazonians.
Never again.
Never shall we allow a people whom we thought were our brothers to steal our own pride, to steal our happiness, to treat us like a captured people, to build prisons where they could kidnap our young boys and young girls, transport them from our own city into their own capital. Never again shall we coexist with the people who have no respect for our own essentiality. Never again shall we live with a neighbor that exploit our resources to develop its own country. Never again shall we live with a state that considers us a liability, refuses to develop our own capabilities to become assets to ourselves and our homeland. Never again shall we tolerate a system that denies us the right to exist. Never again shall we let on the streets of our country. Never again, my people. Shall we live in pain? Shall we live in anguish, hopelessness? Never again shall we sit back and watch our women raped in hostels. Men of Ambazonia, I want you to take the battle block by block, neighborhood by neighborhood. If not for yourself, for our women, for our children, for all those mothers who cannot go to the market because we've imposed ghost towns, for those children who cannot go to school because they've given us an educational system that is a liability, for the lawyers who cannot go to court because they cannot speak the English language in our courts, for all of you sitting in asylum homes in dotted places, hopeless, not knowing what your future would be, whether you will end up in an old people's home or you will return to a land that is hopeless. You are here as soldiers of the revolution. Fight for your country. Never let anybody tell you it's impossible. I have come here as the commander of this revolution to let you know that we will defeat Cameroon. We will not only defeat Cameroon, we will make it impossible for Cameroon again to ever invade our land. I have come here to assure you, to give you the assurances. A few months down the line, we will be able to make our country ungovernable for the Ekemas, the Muketes, the Atanganjis, all those who keep collaborating with the system, the Musonges, the Achidi Achus, all the parliamentarians who legitimize occupation in Yaoundé. If they cross the Mongo and the Matasin, that will be a one-way ticket to hell. We will make it impossible for them to ever return in our homeland, to legitimize a system that has brought us pain, unhappiness, anguish, uncertainty. It is the land of our birth. It belongs to you. For those people yet unborn, for those children who are not going to school, it is your right to exist. And you are here to let Cameroon, to let all those who support Cameroon, to let all those who tolerate this illegality know that our day shall come. The day we will be able to walk into our capital, build a system that responds to our needs, to our norms, customs, and values, that protect our children from hopelessness, that make our men real men, that give our women equal opportunity, that stop the woman.
An elephant, the lion whose tribe is Judah, the cheetah and the zebra. Have you looked at an okapi or at the beauty of a manto tigresa? We do not bite, we are depictions of congeniality. You should go back to learn your A's and B's and not those stories that they tell you about us, because we are all about family trees. Roots are strong as the mukula, and we only get stronger and better. We're all about cultural diversity. We believe in unity. The spirit is Ubuntu. We hail from the land of the sun. We are natural bred warriors. We are children of the deserts, the savannas, the plateaus, the mountains, and the valleys, the keepers of our grandparents' stories. If Wakanda is something new to you, we have lived our lives with the spirit of a Black Panther. This blood, this
pain. I see in your eyes anguish. I can read plastered on your faces uncertainty. But that uncertainty, anguish, and pain coexist with hope. Hope that one day we will be able to walk into a free homeland. We will be able to remember all those who have died in our name. We will be able to remember all those who have been raped because they fight for a free Ambazonia. You have come from all places. You've taken time from all your chores. You are here today because you are the true inhabitants of that place that was taken away from us. You have come here as soldiers of the revolution, the last people standing to defend our values, our customs, and our traditions. You've come here to send a message to those who have occupied our homeland, have raped our girls and turned our fathers into boys. that before they will occupy our land in the next 2 years, they will have to eliminate every Ambazonian from the planet Earth. 45 years ago, they instituted a concept of national unity. That concept coexisted with the destruction of our economic potentials. When we protested, they called us terrorists. They said they were standing for national unity. That national unity meant the destruction of our own potentials. It meant the elimination of our own leaders, our own patriot volunteers. The concept of nationality, of national unity meant we do not have a university, that we should go to Yaoundé and study in French in the name of national unity. It meant we could not have our own parliament because they thought asking us to sit in Yaoundé was the concept of national unity. They thought we didn't have a right to marketing board because we should depend on them because of the concept of national unity. They thought they would destroy our
All right. Good evening, fellow Ambazonians. All man a place over there. Just 2 days ago, the leader addressed the Ambazonian people them and for tell our people them about the report where the Norwegian Refugee Council be put them out and the update of that report with the Norwegian Refugee Council, it don't put them out for 2024 and how we don't change the classification of how they rank the war them, the crisis them, the conflicts them, would have been neglected by the world. We don't come out from, as a leader talking for the Ambazonian people them 2 days ago, we don't come out from number 8 position. Now the Ambazonian and Cameroon conflict is there now for the 2nd place for the conflicts them, the war them, the crisis them, the conflicts them way they've been neglected by the world. The leader don't talk for we, he don't tell we what he for do. I come back, do a research for come back for can give you now more information. Number 1, we need knowledge. Number 2, we need the right information. And number 3, we need the right action. The Ambazonia Governing Council, they don't take the time for study Cameroon, for study how they behave, for study their conduct, and they don't take the time for study the international community, how they respond, when they will respond, when they don't go respond, when they will forget about you, when they will think about you. Today, the world is changed. We live for a different world where it never ever existed before. Countries then way, now then they don't always talk say now then they be the people then way that they protect human rights, that they promote democracy, they stand up for justice, they stand up for fairness. Today, now they see what they happen in the world. You see today, election, they come up for the United States. You see the president of the United States, he go woke up in the middle of the worst humanitarian crisis and conflict. He woke up, he provide Israel with bombs, even after all reports, they don't come out say, you know, the Israelis then, from which they don't come out from the international, from the ICJ, from which they don't come out from Human Rights, Amnesty International, Ben Salem, all this report them, where they don't talk, how 36,000 people them, they don't be killed in just few months. 80% of Gaza don't be wiped out completely. The president of the United States, now he still give bombs for the Israelis them, for use them, for kill the people of Palestine. So we must understand for things to change We must change the way we deal with Cameroon and the way we respond with Cameroon. For we forget a different result after 7 years of fighting. We must change the way we deal with Cameroon and the way we respond with Cameroon. If we want to continue for the same place and speak the same language and continue for beg the international community, make that them they come for you, or make that them they take action, we go continue for the same game, we run for the same circle because we run the same strategies every day. Even when those strategies, even when the research, it talks about the strategies, they need to give the proper response. If we want a different response, we must take a different set of actions. If we want a different reaction from the international community, we must take radical actions which will cause that radical and immediate response from the international community. Cameroon is a very crooked state. So if you go through the normal path, the leader will not explain that for we. One of Mr. Paul Biya is strategy, that is strategy of time. Mr. Biya knows it through time, they go use bribery, they go use corruption, they go give people them opportunity, they go cause people for switch sides, they go use money, they go use positions, they go use for elevate people them for elites, they go use for create people them NGO, for move them and not speak anymore of Ambazonia. So the leader don't always tell you, say, Mr. Biya, they always count on time for you for defeat any resistance against he and against La Republique. That time, it is still work. Mr. Biya, they still count on time. After 7 years, with the kind of progress we don't make them, why the international community need to respond the way we want them? After 7 years, with the kind control we will get them on the ground, how come the international community need to respond the way we want them? After 7 years, and even after the last 2 years, we Ambazonia, it get Cameroon for commit and get into pre-talks for the international community. Why Cameroon withdraw and wait to make them they never come back? So we not continue to do the same things and expect a different response from the international community or a different response from the enemy. For things, for change, how Cameroon respond, how the international community respond, it depends on the Ambazonian people and not on the international community. First, make a go on the research where I do so that we talk with empirical evidence and not by emotions. Number one, the question we'll ask and I say, now what to make some conflicts them, they be neglected, why other conflicts them, they get all the international attention and international engagement. Conflicts they be neglected now due to a variety of reasons. We'll talk about number one. Number one, conflicts that they be neglected, now conflicts in way they not be strategic, they not be for strategic places them where they be important enough for the world. Conflicts where they do for remote or less economically significant regions. They need to get the kind of attention where they need them from the international community, and the Ambazonia-Cameroon conflict are one of those. Number two, media coverage. Conflicts where they be neglected, now conflicts where they need to get international media coverage for highlight the conflict, the humanitarian effects, the people, how people that suffer, how that conflict, it don't displace people, it cause suffering, it cause pain, it cause picking them, it affect women them, it affect community, it affect people, their lives. La République du Cameroon will be very smart from day one where this conflict start for 2016 for block international media make it not enter the territory. for block all international television station, international newspaper them. La République du Cameroon be very smart for understand say once the information about the intensity of the conflict and the humanitarian catastrophe of that conflict, once it reach the international community, it go make people them for the world, they go start for mount pressure and their government they get for take action for address and for resolve the conflict. So Cameroon, Mr. Biya be very smart for block all international media. Even till this day, now only very few international media outlets they don't succeed for come into the territory for do reporting about the extent of the conflict. So since the conflict need to get the kind of international media coverage for show the effects of this conflict, the human rights abuses, the destruction, the displacement, the suffering, the humanitarian needs, it be lack. So the international community enough it take action for something where they not really know how it exists and the extent of how it affect people. Number 3, competing priorities. International actors, they be preoccupied with other conflicts and way they gain international attention, and all their attention it be diverted to those major conflicts where they get attention, and the other conflicts where they need to gain media attention, they not be a priority. On the other hand, the conflicts where they get attention, number 1, they be for regions where they be strategically important to the big powers, to the big power players of the world. For places where for that major power players, they are economic, they are strategic, they are diplomatic, and their business interest they be involved for those kind of places, that those conflicts that they receive global attention. Number 2, the conflicts where they gain attention that because of the severe humanitarian suffering, where it means mass atrocities and large scale displacement of civilians, they prompt quick humanitarian response by the international community and through international intervention. Number 3, conflicts where they gain international attention, now conflicts in where the interest of the parties them they be threatened. The interest of the big players of the world they be threatened. Those conflicts they go gain attention because those people they don't want to make their economic, their security, their strategic and their geographic interests make it be threatened. So they go immediately respond for brings regional stability for continue with that stability it be important for them for continue with their economic, political, diplomatic and strategic dominance. Then now we can't talk say they say okay for resolve these kind of things how you fit change a conflict, how we fit take a conflict we need to get in the kind of attention we want them for that conflict for gain attention where you want them. Make we bring una that according to research, number 1, that research change a conflict how we feel make the international community it give you attention, how you feel make the international community it respond, how you feel make the international community it want address solve the problem, get the parties into a negotiated settlement and get negotiation or dialogue going. Number 1. Now for massively increased media reporting about that conflict, the more information it dominate the major news outlet and social media about that conflict, the more it create awareness internationally, globally, politically for these international stakeholders for know what they happen, and then that information now is start for show say they say if they not take action, it go start for affect them, it go start for affect their own economic interest, it go start for affect their own security interest, it will start for affect their own strategic geopolitical interest. So it be now that information now it go push them for one take action. Number two, advocacy. The more the people they will be affected for conflict, or the more the public in general. A perfect example now what they happen now for the war between Hamas and Gaza. That's all we don't see. We don't see how for the West, all major universities for Canada, for the United States, for Europe, for most parts of the globe, the Palestinian people them, what they did for diaspora, they are picking them, and their NGOs, they don't create them. They create a social movement where they join with other for educate, for draw other people to their cause, for create social awareness. For the last 2 months or 3 months, pro-Palestinian protest, they don't take over all the major universities for Canada, for the United States, for England, for France. They don't take over those universities. And they create international headlines. They create that advocacy, those campaigns, those voices. And the vice president of Ambazonia Governing Council 2 weeks ago, he actually take a time for talk about these things in greater detail, for encourage the Ambazonian people. Say Ambazonians, the need for reinvigorate that spirit where people they be for diaspora. They be getting for 2016, they be getting for 2017, they be getting for 2018, even right up until 2019. Until political chaos within the Ambazonian liberation struggle engineered by Cameroon, it can make them frustrate Ambazonians and for diaspora, and a lot of their passion, their interest, it be weak. The vice president of Ambazonian Council, it be make for that discussion will be getting about the recognition of Palestine. The vice president make this point as a lecturer and a researcher. Tell what people say. They say Ambazonians the need for come back to the streets. Ambazonians the need for the protest in front of the White House. They need for go back for protest in front of the United Nations for New York. Ambazonians and for Canada, they need for go for Ottawa. They need for go for the Parliament building for Ottawa, for carry out a protest, and then send a letter of petition. Go hand out a letter of petition to the Prime Minister of Canada, Mr. Trudeau. Ambazonians and for United Kingdom, the need for protest for England, for highlight the plight of the Ambazonian people then, and why Cameroon it carry out a genocide and launch this mass murder for our people then. So it be very important for go for the 10 Downing Street and submit this letter and put political pressure on the government of England, the government of Norway, the government of Sweden, the government of Ireland, the government for Australia, the government for France, the government for South Africa, the government for Ghana. If all we for diaspora, because ground zero they pay a big enough price for fight the war and for the resistance, the responsibility of diaspora now for do advocacy work, now for do advocacy work, now for do community mobilization, now for do sensitization, now for do now for carry out international awareness and educational campaign. The vice president, if he take the time, forgive with this education and for tell we say now the way this will go if we want to make the world respond. The pro-Palestinian protest will it take place all over the world. When I see how they don't put this pressure, this political pressure for all the governments and for the world, and it start for lead for the recognition of the Palestinian people them. Now see how Norway don't come out, it recognize Palestine. When I see how Spain don't come out, recognize Palestine. When I see how Ireland don't come out, recognize Palestine. And that's so it happen. Now the game this. So now we need for send the message out and not wait another person for tell what story. All right. Number 3, diplomatic effort. The more we do this advocacy group, advocacy work. And then the more now, as they do the public advocacy, the public education, the public sensitization, the awareness, this internationalization of our struggle, when actually one of the strategies of the Ambazonia Governing Council, now that more now, that those things now that it give we access to diplomatic outreach. We need for launch an aggressive diplomatic campaign. For example, we for Canada here, we need for rally ourselves and go for strategic members of parliament where we know so they be critical for the Parliament of Canada and for even for the Canada Senate and even for the provincial parliament for the provincial parliament. If you did for the province of Ontario, like some of we did for province of Alberta, all those provincial parliament, it be very important for we for engage the various provincial parliaments, the various municipalities, and the various provincial governments for even make submission into the government of Mr. Ford. All right. The last one, humanitarian appeal. As we do all these things, we show what did happen for our people then. We go appeal now how the international community it will respond to the humanitarian needs of the Ambazonian refugees, for the humanitarian needs of Ambazonian community schools, for the humanitarian needs of Ambazonian people to be displaced. Now, through those things now, if we bring statistics, if we use their own statistics, if we use Canada's own document, if we use the Amnesty International, their own report, if we use Human Rights Watch, their own report, if we use UN report, and we put them for their front, where people do not get water for drink, where people do not get chop, where people for Nigeria they didn't even get place of sleep. So when I need for respond quickly and fast for address the humanitarian needs of these people, then will they be victims of this war, where it be caused by Paul Biya, by Atanganji Paul, by the colonial prime minister, will be caused by Cameroon because they want to take our land. That the reason this way they kill we. So we do these things. The reason why one can't get this discussion with people then. Now because we don't want to make any Ambazonian slow down. There is no better time for the Ambazonian people then for gain freedom than now. There is no better chance. There is no better opportunity for the Ambazonian people than this moment. Cameroon be very weak. The strategy don't weaken Cameroon. The strategy don't crumble Cameroon. The Biya government be very weak. Paul Biya no ever be weak so for 42 years in power. Now the lowest point this way Paul Biya did it. Now the lowest point this way the Cameroon government did it. Now the lowest point is where they did it internationally. They never ever be so disgraced. They never ever be so how do I put them? They never ever, let me say they never ever be so isolated. Cameroon be isolated. They face all kinds of sanctions. Economically weak, politically weak, socially weak. So now wait till remain. So when the enemy, when you don't fight, work so hard, resist so hard, you choke the enemy, you weaken the enemy. Why would need for slow down and for wait until when the international community go respond, instead now we supposed to cause the international community for respond. Now the Palestinians, make a remind always. Since they give Israel, they take Palestine, cut half, give for Israel. Palestinians, no man ever take them serious. They don't fight 3 wars with Israel. Israel don't win all the 3 wars. They live under an apartheid system, under Israel. They live under, now the frustration where they live under that occupation. Now that resistance, they get to do something so radically different. Forget the response of the international community. For hook up the international community may not forget about them. For tell them say they need independence and freedom. And if the other side want peace, then too they must gain independence and freedom. For the other side forget peace, they must give Palestine and freedom. For the other side forget safe, for be safe, they must give Palestine and freedom. Una no fit keep we under apartheid system, una no fit keep we under occupation system, una think say una live in peace. Or we go live in hell. It changed international response. It changed international calculation and international response. Because Israel don't take comfort. See, because it don't divide the Palestinian people then between the Palestinian Liberation Authority, between the PLO and Hamas. It don't divide them. Just like Cameroon thinks it don't use the IG for divide Ambazonians. By creating an IG and then divide the people then. Say the IG no want this, you no want that, you no want this, you no want that. The IG not there for war. The IG only there for peaceful advocacy. And then he multiply them. And then they come with different voice. And then they raise the money for the liberation. And then they chop them for frustrate the people then. For they use that, Cameroon use that tactics just like Israel used tactics for divide the Palestinian people then between the PLO and Hamas. The PLO be in charge of Gaza, be in charge of West Bank, Hamas be in charge of Gaza. They divide them so that no get a point of agreement. They will get two opposing views, two opposing political views, two opposing approach to the resistance. Now a containment strategy for contain them, for weaken them, for divide them, so that the international community will know which one to respond to, which one to support, and which one to stand for. For change all of that, they get to take a radical view, a radical approach, a radical action, a radical move for trigger a new response from the international community. We don't need to go down that route because our context be different. But if now wait to be require that, we don't need to go down that route. Forget Cameroon out of our land. But maybe now wait to be require that. But we don't need to go there. Because of the kind strategy we don't use them for defeat Cameroon. But if the Cameroon state it continue for massacre our people them, it continue for kill our people them, it continue for destroy our people them, it continue for terrorize our people them, it continue for harass our people them, then they will reach that level. Then it will reach that level. We don't need to go there. The earlier they come to the conclusion, say Ambazonia be irreversible. And Cameroon, enough he come back, the better for them. We don't use not only self-defense approaches for weaken and for defeat Cameroon. But now they could require a different set of approaches it will require a different set of approaches. For exert the Ambazonian people their control over the sovereignty, over the territory, it will require a different set of approach. And the Ambazonian Governing Council, because we must trigger a new response from the international community and from the occupier. We must force the occupier for do what you want them to do. We must trigger the kind response where we want them. For that to happen, we must change the way we think about Cameroon, the way we deal with Cameroon, and the way we respond to Cameroon. The Ambazonia Governing Council on Sunday, it will meet up for an enlarged, for which they call and say AGOVC Global. It will bring all Ambazonia Governing Council missions them across the globe. They go meet up for design, for start, for put in place, for draft the foreigners tax, the foreigners liberation tax. Every foreigner, by foreigner, if you're a citizen of La République du Cameroun and you stay for the Ambazonia territory, you're a foreigner. If they born you for La République du Cameroun, you come up for La République du Cameroun, you stay for the Ambazonia territory, you are a foreigner. That new law, it will come into effect for the next 22 days. For July 1. For July 1st, 2024, the new foreigners tax, the new foreigners liberation tax, it go kick in, where it go mandate every foreigner for stay for inside the Ambazonia territory, you must pay that foreigners resident permit tax. They call them foreigners residence permit tax, liberation tax. You must pay them. So for every citizen of Cameroon for stay for Ambazonia, you must pay that residence permit tax. You must pay them. The last 24 hours, the bravery of the Ambazonian forces for Bamenda, we will never see them. The last 24 hours, the Ambazonian Defense Forces for Bamenda, they don't take over streets, both for daytime and for night. They dismantle enemy checkpoints. They bomb an enemy target for behind mortuary. They dismantle enemy checkpoints. Take over streets. So the level of control and authority where Ambazonian forces that they demonstrate them for the territory, we never seen them before. So they get greater control and greater power on the ground. More needs to be done. The level of escalation, the conflict level of escalation, basically, all those things I've done talk for now about why the international community need to respond, it be summed up to one thing only. All it means, I say, the level of escalation, it be very low. So when they look at the intensity of conflict, in terms of the level of fighting, the seriousness of fighting, they measure them on a scale from 1 to 10. 1, it be the lowest. 2, it means say it still be low. 3, it still be very low. 4, that means say things that are hot. 5, things that don't start for hot. 6, things that are really hot. 7, it means say things that don't scatter. 8 means say way no day. When a conflict reach for 6, for 7, for 8, the international community must respond. Right now, all we do now resistance actions, the intensity of our response and our fight is still be very low, and Cameroon thinks it be very comfortable. First of all, the information need to come out to the international community. Now, the first thing that the international community, the information remain within Ambazonia and within the confinement of Cameroon. So the information first, it need to come up to the international community. So most of the time, the international community need to really know what did really go on, because the level of escalation is very low. So 2 days ago, we explained and say we get the advantage of escalatory dominance. That means right now, Cameroon not really do much in terms of Cameroon response, in terms of which Cameroon fit do for stop the fighting. Cameroon not really do much. Cameroon goal now for push the conflict, make it be as quiet as possible. Now Cameroon goal that, so that the international community go just forget say war they go on between Cameroon and Ambazonia. Now Cameroon goal that. So that's why, if I don't see the Cameroon government at this moment, it rather make things that just remain the way they did. Cameroon will be very comfortable for deal with things the way they did. So it no need for negotiate. It no need for engage. All they need for do now for the use these church people them as their middlemen for move money around. And with time, they go to take players out of Ambazonian liberation struggle. Mr. Bishop Nkia and the one for the Presbyterian Church. They move them around for do background deals on behalf of Cameroon. So the Prime Minister says have no need for engage. They would use these middlemen then. And they know say as long as they continue for move money, they go to move voices from Ambazonian liberation struggle. So for them with time, they feel buy people out. With time, there's military feel penetrate, dismantle the key forces on the ground. So for them, according to them, things that work in their favor. So you need for know for them now for keep the fight down as much as possible. Ambazonia own goal. Now for push the fight up, push the fight up, push the fight up. Ambazonia, Cameroon a goal now for de-escalate. And all Cameroon, the international partners, and people, them, including France, they are going now for de-escalate so that Cameroon take back control of the territory. Because if they de-escalate, it means that the resistance don't die. Or they will create a perception, say the resistance don't die. Then through time, they begin to move the political prisoners, the prisoners of war, they begin to move them small. It not go be through a negotiated settlement. Mr. Biago one day just woke up, makes a small decree. The general go woke up, he talks, "When I move this one, when I move this one, when I move this one." Before you want to see them, they start to solve this, they start to move people then small. And then they go through back door, begin to bring refugees them back. Cameroon is going for de-escalate. If they de-escalate, they kill the resistance and they create a perception say the resistance don't die. You must understand the game. You go down that route, you be defeated. Ambazonia goal. After you don't defeat Cameroon, you don't weaken Cameroon, you don't dismantle the occupation system. Why you don't defeat the occupier? You dismantle the occupation system and then you leave them in a de-escalate. Why? Now, two things they be needed. You defeat the occupier, you take over. You weaken the occupier, you take over. You defeat the occupier, you weaken the occupier, you not take over. The occupier go use propaganda for create a policy, a strategy of perceived de-escalation, and it will make them feel say they still be in charge in the perception of the international community. Or number two, you re-escalate. You put the conflict back on top of the international map, on top of international attention. So we'll see what happened with Bamenda the last 3 days. The last 3 days, a lot of actions don't happen for Bamenda. The last 24 hours, especially, 3 major operations that don't happen for Bamenda. Most of the world don't know about it. Why? They not be loud enough. They not be intense enough. The action will not be loud enough. They not be intense enough. Not just resistance activity for demonstrate power for short period of time. It's important, but it's not enough. It be important for what the generals and the commanders that they do, because it will weaken the morale of the enemy. But by itself, in the grand scheme of things, it's not enough. Now, what you need to know that when these kind of things that they happen, if fine when they happen, make it be like an earthquake. When it happen, make it shaking the whole La Republique, the whole Africa, the whole Central Africa. Make it dominate media. Make it be loud and it be intense. For today, we all know on the social media. If you just go put some kind of picture on social media, no person will comment. So things they get some level of intensity and craziness. They get some rawness and loudness. They get be a little bit radical, a little bit spicy. For them to gain more traction and attention. That's why the Ambazonia Governing Council, it look into radical implementation of policies where they would change the ground permanently. Radical implementation of policies where they would change the ground permanently. They could change how we Ambazonians, how we behave, how we conduct ourselves, how we see ourselves. It could change our response to any councillor, any colonial councillor, any colonial mayor, any colonial DO, any colonial SDO, any colonial delegate, any person when a top administrator of the occupation system. They get to live in total panic and total fear. With just like the parliamentarians, just like the senators, they start to pack out of Ambazonia. At this moment, for Ambazonia to get international attention and gain international response, and for Cameroon, for one can negotiate, it be up to the responsibility of the Ambazonian people then, for cause it may happen. Cameroon is stubborn and unwilling people then. So you must use radical strategy for get an uncommitted and unwilling party of a conflict for respond positively, appropriately, and measuredly for the way it would meet the aspiration, the hopes, the dreams of the Ambazonian people then. Now our responsibility. The education won't be enough. That means say the Ambazonian Governing Council will go close most of the major highways for Ambazonia for a prolonged period of time. That means say the territory will be locked down for a prolonged period of time for trigger international response. That means say the pain will go for cause and for Cameroon we must take a measure where it go cause a food security crisis for Cameroon by stopping all chop, make it not enter Cameroon. That means say the Tiko Douala Road, it get for be shut down. The Babaju Matazen Highway, it get for be shut down. No chop, not one plantain, not one tomato, not one cocoa, not one bottle oil, not one granite, not one leaf, bitter leaf, go enter La République from Ambazonia. We must take different sets of radical action for cause a radical escalation of this conflict. For put the maximum pressure me be bear on Cameroon and the Cameroonian people them. Once the Cameroonian people they not get chop for chop. Once one cup of Gary for La République it start for reach 150. One cup Gary start for reach 200. One cup beans it start for reach 200. Now the citizens of La République they go take to the streets for force their government for can negotiate and end to the conflict. Not be now you go beg for negotiation. Now Cameroon need for beg Ambazonians for negotiation. But we must change how we did look at Cameroon, how we did deal with Cameroon, how we need for respond to Cameroon. We need for take radical action for escalate this conflict. The option for take the war into Cameroon, it is on the table. The option for move the battlefield so that we need to fight a self-defense war anymore. We go take an offensive approach to the war. That means say we go enter inside La République for fight them inside La République, for fight them inside cities of Douala, inside cities of Bafoussam, inside cities of Yaoundé, so that the chaos, the destruction, the pain, and the suffering, you transfer them from Ambazonia to La République. You go cause them, either the one choose, make their country, it be permanently destroyed, or they choose the path of negotiation for them for secure peace. You need a radical set of action where they will cause a radical positive response for an unwilling partner. So, in conclusion, the Ambazonian people, they must stop for being timid. They must stop for being too careful. They must stop for being too nice. They must stop for being fearful. Freedom requires a radical set of actions. When you deal with Cameroon, you require irrational actions. Forget their attention and forget them to respond. If they no one respond to measured strategies, if Cameroon no one respond to measured approaches, then why you get for continue for use measured approaches? If Cameroon need to respond for reasonable approaches and reasonable demands, why use reasonable approaches and reasonable demand to people that they be unreasonable? I'm curious. If they no one negotiate civilly, why continue those strategies? If the self-defense strategy we don't use them over the last 8 years, they don't cause the destruction of our own people them. It don't cause the death of our own people them. And it need to make Cameroon one can negotiate. Then why continue for use the same? So we must change the way we think. We must change how we look at Cameroon and how we interpret Cameroon and we must change our responses and actions against Cameroon. If we need a new response, if we need a desired outcome, we need a desired response, then we must take the action the way they would trigger those response. We must escalate. We must escalate. For every Ambazonian, one of the reasons why the escalation level be very low, now because the level of investment, and Cameroon know this one. Maybe not keep in mind, the Cameroon state, they understand through their intelligence network, they know the capacity and capabilities of Ambazonians, of Ambazonian forces. So that they take advantage of the low level capability in terms of attack and response to Cameroon. What do you want mean? Do you want mean say every Ambazonian when we pay liberation tax, you be responsible for prolonging this liberation struggle. Every Ambazonian family for diaspora, every Ambazonian boy, man or woman for diaspora, we never pay your diaspora liberation tax. You be responsible for the low level of international involvement because you never give the Ambazonian fighters, you never give Ambazonian forces, you never give the Ambazonian Governing Council the resources and the tool where they be enough. As the vice president and the leader, they report them to the Ambazonian people about 3 months ago. For 8 months, the Ambazonian Governing Council they will be able to reach 100 million for liberation tax. I think it takes us, is it 6 months? I think it takes us 6-7 months for reach 100 million. Too small. When I think say Cameroon need to pay attention to these things, Cameroon need to pay attention to these figures. Cameroon need to pay attention to how the campaign they go. If for 6-7 months, Ambazonians they be raised 500 million, it would be a different story today. Because with 100 million, you get forces across 9 states. Each state, each barrack, and for some of the states then, you get 8, 9, 10 barracks. You see 100 million not be enough? So Cameroon, their intelligence network, they measure all of these things, and that's why they take their time. Once they start for CC, every Ambazonian, he pay a liberation tax. 6 months, Ambazonia Governing Council don't raise 500 million, and I can't announce that for the world. Say they don't raise 500 million. 500 million means what? 500 million means say you go deploy an additional 500 specialized trained fighters. Now think about this. Imagine if you woke up for morning time, 100 well-equipped ADF special forces with 100 super hyper automatic rifles. They enter inside Bamenda with 10 machine guns. First of all of them they get their AKs or G3. And then they enter inside Bamenda, 100 forces with an additional 10 machine guns, with an additional 10 RPGs. Tell me if Bamenda will be the same again. Tell me if the conflict will be the same again. You see now how CNN would report about the conflict immediately? You see now how BBC would report about the conflict immediately? You see now how Al Jazeera would report about the conflict immediately? You see now how CBC would report about the conflict immediately? All international news outlets, the international media, it feed on information where they be radical, they be urgent. When they hear say, they say, ADF, Ambazonia Defense Forces, it don't take over Bamenda, take over Commercial Avenue for broad daylight. Those images, they filter out for social media. and they see these ADF forces, 100 of them, they patrol Commercial Avenue, well armed. You don't need to beg any person, do you? So, not been a Cameroon the delay. Now Ambazonians the delay. So you too must act radically in terms of your own commitment. We'll go back, say, Ambazonian Governing Council raised 500 million. We'll talk, say, between now and the next 3 months, we can announce and say the liberation tax won't generate 500 million. With 500 million, you see now, if you take over Kumba, imagine you deploy 100 specialized ADF forces for Kumba. You see now how if you deploy 100 specialized forces, ADF forces, and you take over Libiale, and you capture Menji, you want the international community to respond? Do your work. Live up to the obligation of which you talk say you want them. 5,000 for woman for liberation tax, 5,000 for man picking for liberation tax. The population, you get the responsibilities. To the commanders, any Ambazonian will never pay liberation tax for the place where we do patrols, we do enforcement of the liberation tax. Any man and any woman who will travel, they never pay liberation tax, on a movie, keep it for down. Ambazonians, they must understand their own obligation to homeland. We will continue in suffering because people want to take them easy and then they prolong their own suffering. We must be strict for our people then. If you did for the diaspora, you never pay a liberation tax. You are ashamed to yourself. You be ashamed for your family. You be ashamed for the homeland we leave behind. Because you prolong the suffering of those you left behind. Because you don't want to pay $100 for the liberation tax. Because you take in around a team. All Ambazonian forces, any person will come out diaspora, it come for ground. When I see you on the ground, in official evidence of a liberation tax, it will pay now $100. It will pay now $500, when 250,000 amber. Not been a ransom. Now liberation tax plus fine. Ambazonians, they like the hard way. They like the hard way. When I see any Ambazonian, it come out diaspora for the Western diaspora. If you come out na African diaspora and Middle East diaspora, the liberation tax, if you reach on the territory, 100,000, now holy make it pay 100,000. Ambazonians, they like it the hard way. We don't appeal and educate. We don't want them. We not go pay the hard way. The land must be free. No matter who that person be, you not pay a liberation tax, not enter Okada, no travel, no waka. Because when forces they meet up you, they go move you, they keep you for ground. Whether you want waka na for 2 days for reach or play one reach, that one I used to be. When you go reach today, your head go clear. No man will beg you for pay a liberation tax. Now you go call for pay that liberation tax. We must raise the money will be required. Lastly, now also the responsibility of the Ambazonia Governing Council. For the work, now also the responsibility of leadership, of the Vice President of Ambazonia Governing Council, of the Secretary General of the Ambazonia Governing Council, of all the department heads for the Ambazonia Governing Council, for help the leader make it succeed. The leader not succeed when the leader they do all the work. I listened to a video by this one young brother that they call it say Don Spirito. Wow, now give me a moment, yeah. I listened for a video for this one young brother that they call it say Don Spirito, a young Ambazonian activist, a firebrand activist with the speed fire. He talked the other day, and the young man as a refugee, we are thinking, I think for, if I'm not mistaken, whether for Nigeria or for Ghana, a young man, it is speak out, speak raw truth. Make a video and listen, and I'm like, wow. See the passion where this young man get on. And he did talk for Ambazonia Governing Council defense officials. Somebody sit up. An outsider, an Ambazonia activist, will not be a member of the AGOVC. They call the Ambazonia Governing Council defense official made a sit up in terms of how they did lead the forces. See, Ambazonia they need ground zero, need fire for drive like the public out. All we need to give the leader the support we need. This man don't give a life. Don't prove for all Ambazonians, regardless of your political affiliation and the group we did it. Dr. Chodong proved to the Ambazonian people the unconditional love for the Ambazonian people and the unconditional love and commitment for free what people them from Cameroon's tyranny. It don't prove the superiority of a commitment, the superiority of a dedication, the unconditional sacrifice, and the most effective leadership with any group of persons they feel imagine. What he need and for all we, he need was support for deliver the vision of freedom. What he need and from every mission head. When you talk to be a mission head, you take the responsibility for lead a mission with passion, advocacy and mobilization. When you talk to be a department head, now a sense of duty, a sense of passion on behalf of the Ambazonian people. On behalf of our people. So all we need for not only be members of AGOVC and be members of a department, you be a member of a department for waiting. Waiting define your role. Your role therefore be defined by your duty to help the leader fulfill the vision for liberate the people. Mobilization now the greatest support if you give the leader. Raise money. Right now, the AGOVC need between 500 million CFA to 1 billion CFA for deliver the territory. For change the context, the current context of the war. If we mean serious. If we want to make Cameroon take we serious. If we want to make those mayors they take we serious. We must change and show a sense of seriousness. So we mean business. When we talk say mayors they must leave, we mean say mayors they must leave. Rhetorics will not be enough. They need to be matched by actions. There are enough Ambazonians for the diaspora if we engage them enough. If we gain that spirit of passion for the love of our people, then we all engage them. Make use of ACN. Make use of social media. If you still fear for speak on behalf of Ambazonia, then you not be qualified for lead. Then you not be qualified for be a department head. If you know what may a face be aside, because leadership today, it will need more public leadership as much as internal leadership. Internal leadership is not be enough. Because more Ambazonians, they be outside of AGOVC than the one who did inside AGOVC. If finance will not start to build ourselves and maintain that internal cohesion, that sense of oneness and unity, it be very important for the survival of the liberation. But what will be much more important than the public mobilization. Right now, the elections for the United States between Democrats and Republicans. Who raised the highest amount of money will determine who win the elections. Simple. Because it will determine the amount of money they spend for media campaign and for rallies. The one who do not get money, they don't get money for do big rallies and pay different TV station, them newspaper outlet, social media engagements. But the same thing for war. We, as we already defeat Cameroon, for take back our territory, for cause an international re-engagement for negotiations, and for quickening the process, it requires every single member of the Ambazonia Governing Council, especially top officials, for become public advocacy. The more Ambazonians see more AGOVC officials with passion, talking about the liberation tax, supporting our forces, our IDPs, campaign for our prisoners. The more Ambazonians, they will rekindle their spirit of commitment. All we need for be out. If we want to make more Ambazonians, they contribute and participate, then we need more voices. Give the leader the support we need. If not be so, there is no need for continue for spin in circles and put the blame on the international community and on Cameroon. Say Cameroon not be committed. And because there's no pressure, you put enough pressure on Cameroon, now Mr. Biago come the Beguna. You know, they send church people, they can begin to talk for low-class activists and low-class leaders. Now La Republique, it will send the Prime Minister as an envoy for come meet up Dr. Chuayaba. All right? Now Canada will move their top diplomat. Will go up and down, and they know what they do now for Connie. When they meet up you, they put them for press. Say today, Canada top diplomat from the Ministry of Global Affairs. They don't meet up with the leader of the Ambazonian people. Then they know they can meet up you. This group no can. They know no man will be talking for Connie. When they see the actions on the ground, when things change on the ground, when the fighting start for shake, when they see sick mayors, they don't run. Mayors, they don't die. Councillors, they don't die. Councillors, they don't run. We don't shut down food import to Cameroon. And Cameroon get food scarcity and crisis. As the leader will talk, they will come to us. They will come to you, but they don't come to you in private, in the middle of the night. They will come for you for broad daylight, and their system will tweet about it, and they will take the pictures and send them outside. All the meetings where they take place between the United States and Hamas, between whether Canada and Hamas and Israel, all them, they need to do them in hiding. They do them because of the high intensity of the conflict. We must escalate. We must escalate. We must escalate at all levels. Now we get escalatory dominance. Mr. Biya be weak. The country be divided. The party be divided. The military be demoralized. What else is left of Cameroon? The only thing will be left. The Ambazonians will stand up for Ambazonia. And from now going forward, zero tolerance. If you did for chat group Ambazonians, they need to contribute for the liberation, kick them out. If you did for an Ambazonian group, and you realize and say every fundraiser or people that need to pay their liberation tax, get them the hell out of those groups. There's no need for them for be there. They be there for duty. You be there for support the resistance. You be there for fulfill the promise of independence. If you need the support, you need to contribute, you need to pay your liberation tax. What is your use? The radical times. The times will escalate internally and externally. You must live with passion for our people then. All these things then, for make sure say we'll get the international community for drag Cameroon, bring them back to the table for sign their exit from our territory. We get a responsibility for end the suffering of the one that they be refugees, the suffering and the pain of the one who they did for prison, the suffering and the pain of the one who their house and don't be burned down, their villages don't be burned down, they don't be displaced, they stay for bush. The one who they don't escape, they did for La Republique, the one that they be refugees, even for up to Central Africa and Chad. Somebody die for road to come for America. We as a people get a responsibility, and we must show a level of seriousness and sensitivity to the plight of our people and which they go through right now. Now, at the time this for escalate this conflict, at the time this for gain the attention of the international community, it requires radical actions, require bold actions, require spontaneous actions. We must do the things that would be unthinkable, that would be possible to deliver the expected results. Now get a good night.
Pain. I see in your eyes anguish. I can read plastered on your faces uncertainty. But that uncertainty, anguish, and pain coexist with hope. Hope that one day we will be able to walk into a free homeland. We will be able to remember all those who have died in our name. We will be able to remember all those who have been raped because they fight for a free Ambazonia. You have come from all places. You've taken time from all your chores. You are here today because you are the true inhabitants of that place that was taken away from us. You have come here as soldiers of the revolution, the last people standing to defend our values, our customs, and our tradition. You've come here to send a message to those who have occupied our homeland, have raped our girls and turned our fathers into boys, that before they will occupy our land in the next 2 years, they will have to eliminate every Ambazonian from the planet Earth. 45 years ago, they instituted a concept of national unity. That concept coexisted with the destruction of our economic potentials. When we protested, they called us terrorists. They said they were standing for national unity. That national unity meant the destruction of our own potentials. It meant the elimination of our own leaders, our own patriot volunteers. The concept of nationality, of national unity, meant we did not have a university, that we should go to Yaoundé and study in French in the name of national unity. It meant we could not have our own parliament because they thought asking us to sit in Yaoundé was the concept of national unity. They thought we didn't have a right to marketing board because we should depend on them because of the concept of national unity. They thought they would destroy our police forces and we should depend on their own protection on the concept of national unity. 45 years ago, they lied us. 45 years after, we have vowed as a people who have suffered tribulation, economic deprivation, political exclusion, pain, anguish, hopelessness, scattered and dotted in the capitals of Western places, being unsure what tomorrow holds for us, being unsure what our children will become, because we went to schools that was dedicated to the production of people who had no value. The bad schools which were just four walls to turn us into dependent, to turn us into hopeless people. The best schools that were prison walls where they could revise our history, educate us in their own history to make us slaves. They turn us slaves in the land of our birth. Until a young man called BBC Mancho took his coffin on the street and told Cameroon, give us freedom or give us death. We are here today with our own coffin to bury the concept of national unity, as our brother has said, 1,000 feet down the earth.
Yes!
Never again, Ambazonians. Never again, Ambazonians.
Never again.
Never shall we allow a people whom we thought were our brothers to steal our own pride, to steal our happiness, to treat us like a captured people, to build prisons where they could kidnap our young boys and young girls, transport them from our own city into their own capital. Never again shall we coexist with the people who have no respect for our own essentiality. Never again shall we live with a neighbor that exploit our resources to develop its own country. Never again shall we live with a state that considers us a liability, refuses to develop our own capabilities to become assets to ourselves and our homeland. Never again shall we tolerate a system that denies us the right to exist. Never again shall we let our children be tortured on the streets of our country. Never again, my people, shall we live in pain, shall we live in anguish, hopelessness. Never again shall we sit back and watch our women raped in hostels. Men of Ambazonia, I want you to take the battle block by block, neighborhood by neighborhood. If not for yourself, for our women, for our children, for all those mothers who cannot go to the market because we've imposed ghost towns, for those children who cannot go to school because they've given us an educational system that is a liability, for the lawyers who cannot go to court because they cannot speak the English language in our courts, for all of you sitting in asylum homes in dotted places, hopeless, not knowing what your future would be, whether you will end up in an old people's home or you will return to a land that is hopeless. You are here as soldiers of the revolution. Fight for your country. Never let anybody tell you it's impossible. I have come here as the commander of this revolution to let you know that we will defeat Cameroon. We will not only defeat Cameroon, we will make it impossible for Cameroon again to ever invade our land. I have come here to assure you, to give you the assurances. A few months down the line, we will be able to make our country ungovernable for the Ekemas, the Muketes, the Atanganjis, all those who keep collaborating with the system, the Musongas, the Achidi Achus, all the parliamentarians who legitimize occupation in Yaoundé. If they cross the Mongo and the Matasin, that will be a one-way ticket to hell. We will make it impossible for them to ever return in our homeland, to legitimize a system that has brought us pain, unhappiness, anguish, uncertainty. It is the land of our birth. It belongs to you. For those people yet unborn, for those children who are not going to school, it is your right to exist. And you are here to let Cameroon, to let all those who support Cameroon, to let all those who tolerate this illegality know that our day shall come. The day we will be able to walk into our capital, build a system that responds to our needs, to our norms, customs, and values, that protect our children from hopelessness, that make our men real men, that give our women equal opportunity, that stop